At True Classic OG, we live by one motto. Stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of True OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious.
Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. Today, it's Monday, December 12th, and today is International Universal Health Coverage Day, National Ding-a-ling Day. I'm not even touching that one. National Ambrosia Day, National Poinsettia Day for all you holiday decorers out there. And, of course, it is National Gingerbread House Day. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms, especially right here on YouTube. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us via Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. Well, it was a rainy weekend up north for the Emerald Cup. And we're going to pay a quick bill so we can get right back into the news. You want to grow some of the best weed in the world? Then you must start with the best genetics in the world. Go to www.dnagenetics.shop to order regular, feminized, or autoflower beans. All of your favorite DNA genetics cultivars such as Kosher Kush, Skywalker Kush, and oh yeah, Chocolate Truffle Shuffle. Boasting more cannabis awards for their award-winning genetics than any other company in the world. Remember to go to www.dnagenetics.shop to see why our terps don't lie. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's the start of the week, and we're starting it off with the dope dad himself. That's right. It's going to be Rico Lamitte. When he is babysitting, you can often find him changing diapers, sharing paste, and playing with macaroni and pasta shells, the hard ones, not the soft ones. Because he loves to make art and inspire creativity amongst the youth. So much that he also does the same thing at TEDx conventions when he's babysitting grown-ass adults. That's right. It is the dope dad himself. Whether you're a grown-ass kid or a little baby kid, he's still your dope dad. It is Rico Lamitte.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate the excellent, exorbitant introduction, Jason, and I hope everybody's had a great weekend. Welcome back. My name is Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street. My headline today comes from WTTW PBS Chicago News by Amanda Vinicki. While a black-owned cannabis dispensary opens in Chicago, critics say state's equity work is still falling short. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was out in Chicago last week for a photo op celebrating the grand opening of one of the Windy City's first couple of social equity businesses last month. Mid-November, Ivy Hall Damon became the first, and it was soon followed by a second, the Green Rose. With 190 left in the queue, others who won state equity licenses have yet to open their doors, and the drawn-out process is applicants questioning if the state's pledge to use legal weed to lift communities disproportionately affected by a war on drugs is turning out to be just another on-brand empty promise. But 190 frowns ain't enough to block a Chi-Town victory lap. Pritzker was on site at Ivy Hall's grand opening in Bucktown, where co-founder Nigel Dandridge told DTW he's living proof that Illinois is making good on its promise to carve out a more equitable cannabis landscape for generations to come. Yet again, Illinois is out ahead of the pack. Before Joe Biden made it cool on the federal level, Illinois expunged 800,000 low-level possession charges from its state criminal records. At the time, Pritzker's move seemed to be a lot more promising on the surface, too. He said that he was creating a new opportunity for tens of thousands of Illinoisans, mostly people of color, to get a job or rent an apartment that they were previously denied because of their records. Revenue from existing Illinois cannabis sales were directed through the Restore, Reinvest, and Renew program to underserved neighborhoods hurt by blowback from the war on drugs. Pritzker had no problem prematurely celebrating the results of that move either. As we've promised from day one, Illinois has the most accessible and equitable cannabis industry in the nation. Even with its hiccups and legal obstacles, and as the first of 192 social equity licenses to launch, Ivy Hall is paving the way for even more success in this new industry. Some other people don't seem to be so convinced. Ambrose Jackson, CEO of the 1937 Group, offered his perspective to the story. His team's been working to open a cultivation center in Broadview and won 3 licenses in total through the equity application process: transportation, craft grow, and the third was for a dispensary. Jackson said he doesn't expect his shop to open until summer soonest and points to a deep divide between who of the 192 will actually be able to open and who won't. The main 2 hurdles in front of the latter, he says, are capital and connections. Businesses like mine have partners with the necessary know-how and skills, but I have to go slower because after years of delays, we don't have the cash to get going yet. Then come the ones he predicts that will never open. What I see is there's a number of reasons why the majority of licensed winners are not going to be able to become operational, and it's disingenuous for the state or the governor to herald success over who initially won these licenses. But Pritzker said that he's hopeful all of the social equity businesses with conditional state licenses will open, pointing to monetary efforts that the state's taken to shore up capital for those waiting. We're certainly doing everything that we can, providing loans to folks who need them. They're forgivable loans, mind you. We're making sure that we're helping them through the process best we can. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see nearly all. I know hard businesses are very hard to start. Last month, Illinois made available $8.75 million in forgivable loans to help social equity businesses get off the ground. That goes out to about $45,000 per applicant. Sounds a lot like California right here, and social equity out here in Los Angeles. So I lived in Chicago for 12 years before eventually moving out here to Los Angeles about 11 years ago with my wife. And I'm really pulling for my city. That's where my heart is still. I'm still pulling for them to make it through this and to make good on all those promises. But I don't really see a lot better than what you're seeing right here. A bunch of photo ops and a bunch of politicians saying that they did a lot or they did the best that they could, and just elevating like 1 or 2 and calling it a day. But that's just me. This is Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street, and I'd like to hear this High 9 News, and I'd like to hear what the rest of the team has to say about this one. What do you think?
So, Rico, you say that this was a photo op, right?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
1,000,000%. Come on, bro.
What are you going to say, Gretchen?
My question is, Rico, and this is not just for Illinois, it's for all these social equity programs out there across the country that we have seen fail and they're not doing well. If someone gets a social equity license, what do you expect the state to do for them after that? Because you see, like this gentleman said, there are problems with capital. These guys don't have the backing that they need. Do you expect the government to step up and just give handouts to these businesses to get them running? Because I just don't, from a capitalist.
It's not so much.
What are we supposed to do?
Okay. It's not so much what they're supposed to do after the fact. It's so much about the promises that were made before they even started plotting down their own money, putting their own resources and time into this whole process. Out here in Los Angeles, it took them 3 years. And everybody was already depleted of cash, paying exorbitant rent fees for 3 years, just to lock down places because that was a requirement. You had to have an established location to even be considered for a license, to even get your conditional license. So a lot of these good folks that have been waiting for so long, they were just tapped out of resources by the time real licenses came out. And I see that happening yet again in Chicago. And Chicago was heralded, oh yeah, they're the most progressive social equity, blah 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 blah. And then when the first drawing came out, I think like none. I think like all the veterans got their social equity licenses. They got a granted, but there were none that were actually Black people. Second round tried to go through, and there was a lot of lawsuits that were involved too. And this is the third round, and it's just broken promises.
It's just more of the same, Rico.
Yeah, more of the same broken promises.
Does the state promise to give them money? Because if they don't have the money to get up and running, I mean, talking to businesses, we would tell folks often, expect
this
to make
no
money
later, Gretchen.
for 5 to 10 years. If you don't have the money to sit there and suck for 5 to 10 years, you shouldn't be getting into this business. People need to be real with these businesses. You can't just give folks a lottery ticket, say, here's your license, and no resources to actually pull this off.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's what's happening. They're doing this for a photo op, and they're saying, oh yeah, we're helping these communities. Oh yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. And they're really not. They're just giving them a promise to do something, and they're not giving them the actual resources necessary for the long haul to hold on for years and then still be at a huge disadvantage to like whoever their rivals are in the industry, because Cresco's up and running. You have a bunch of other non-equity players that are up and running, and they're up against them. Like how are they going to compete with anybody who's well funded in their city, and that have been already operating for years and have already established their community members, right?
As soon as cannabis was made legal, it became the same corporate capitalist game of collecting and brigading the resources. The same few predominantly white people of the same families who went to the same East Coast universities in charge of everything. And the way that we get past this is giving away the exit plan, giving away the need to 10x our money, giving away the need to create generational wealth, walking with cannabis, walking with the messages of cannabis, continuing to be generous and operating at a small enough scale. And that's one of the messages of cannabis. If we really look at what's happening, people who are growing small grows, both on market and off market, are thriving. People who are doing small batch hash at a high quality are thriving. Anyone who is operating at a small scale in the cannabis economy with love for the plant and generosity and is operating like the plant is thriving. Everyone who's trying to make more money than God and turn cannabis into the next tech bubble is dying. There is a message there, and I hearken everybody to listen to it, because it's an important message about how we as a species can navigate on this planet in a way that allows our life support systems to stay functional.
Matthew, would you say that's true on the dispensary side as well, or are you just saying that
dispensaries are a shit show, dude? So I never went to dispensaries until I entered the completely legal game, because they all operate like pawn shops, nearly. Pardon, Jason, but the ones that I dealt, the ones that I dealt with,
ones up north, those northern shops.
No, it was LA actually, and what I found in Los Angeles was all the guys who were afraid of doing 10 to 15 years and getting a gun to their forehead jumped into the game when 215 came out. They all used their uncle or their dad's money to rip off growers. And here's how you do that. Grower comes in, you're like, man, your weed's not very good. And they spend 15 minutes picking it apart. I call a guy in from the other room whose only job is to come in and talk shit about your weed.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yes, and we badger you down to nothing. And once we're getting nothing from you, all of a sudden I pull the magical fandango, and now I have connoisseur grade Northern California weed that has to be $65 an eighth. And I sell all that weed for $65 an eighth, and I buy some sweet TVs to put my menu on. And when the grower comes, I'm like, bro, I can't even rent and everything is so tough, dude. I can't even afford to pay you right now. So come back in 3 months. And so for me, that was the beginning of the dispensary hustle. And the continuation is that the government doesn't allow enough dispensaries for there to be a fair playing field. And so what happens is the dispensary is the hot girl at the party, and everybody has to give them money to get on the shelves, bribe the bud tenders. And the dispensaries take all of this and they default on all their bills, because they know there's going to be 10 more brands waiting because of the of that funnel of availability of product through the dispensary model. And really what we need to do is either have complete legalization, let the market actually have a free market, or decriminalize, and it ends up with the same thing, which is an actual free market, a much more level playing field, and the ability to create quality product, delineating you as a navigator in the cannabis world.
Yeah, freedom market. We have Dr. Felicia up in Clubhouse ready to speak on this. What do you have for us, Dr. Felicia?
Good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. I agree with you, St. Germain, on those latter parts about the free market. I think everyone would have a better ability to compete. But I think we need to open up the options and not just focus on trying to give people dispensaries or licenses. You know, I think we all agree that even though everybody uses this plant pretty much to the same degree, that Black and brown people get racially profiled and put in prison 4 times more than white people. And in some counties here in Georgia, 8 times more than white people. Why don't we look at maybe just making people more whole with just a cash reward or a compensation for those who were in prison and their family members? Because when that person goes to prison, it impacts their family as well. I think everybody should be compensated for the war on drugs. I think that's going to be one way to make people whole. Don't just think about giving people the business, to give them the cash.
I'm not necessarily opposed to that, Dr. Felicia.
Yeah, so Dr. Felicia, that sounds a lot like reparations to me.
But how much would they give them?
I hate to, I don't know. That would take some economics folk who know about money and how much people have lost as a result of that. I mean,
I know a lot about money.
Projections. People have made those projections based on where Black folk would be if there had not been slavery, or if there had not been segregation, if there had not been lynching. Mm-hmm. It's, there are very smart people who can figure out what that amount should be. I mean, I think it's Evanston, Illinois is already starting that.
Shout out to Evanston. Shout out to Northwestern Wildcats. I think it was. They gave them like 270,000.
We don't need to just get stuck on dispensaries.
Yeah.
Well, and
agreed.
Ben in our queue here says social equity starts with decriminalization, specifically expungement of cannabis sentences. Equity for all with limited license in terms of licensing is illogical and oxymoronic. Frankly, I can't disagree with you more, Ben. While we would love to see decriminalization and expungement, social equity means social equity in the wallet. I mean, just like Dr. Felicia says, and people don't want to say this, but there is racial profiling. Folks are not getting the loans when they walk into a bank if it were legal. I mean, let's be totally honest. I mean, we have to look at real ways to fix the system, because Joe Schmo investor wants to give his money to guys who look like him. And frankly, that's not brown and Black people. And until we can come up with a system that actually helps get money into people's hands so they can actually build a business and go somewhere, we got to stop pretending that social equity is a real thing in this community and all get excited about some bullshit pardons from Joe Biden.
It's socialist equity.
I couldn't agree more.
It's socialist equity, and it's not going to work in the American oligarchy of a system. And this is why, and I know you're against this, Gretchen, this is why I'm like, it's a very easy solution to all of this. It's called reparations.
Word.
Give us money. Let us do what we want to fucking do with our money. And stop promising us a bunch of shit that ain't going to happen. Word. Period.
We also have Steven up in the audience from Clubhouse. What do you have to say on this, Steven?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So you guys are touching on a bunch of funky subjects. So I live in Trinity County, the poorest county in the state of California. Every cultivator here is a social equity applicant. Number one, our county is supposed to give us $35,000 when we pass our social equity application. We'll see. Nothing so far, but it's been 5 years. We're sitting on literally, all these corporations come in with a 5 to 10 year burn rate. If you're not coming into this industry with a 5 to 10 year burn rate, you're not thinking like the fat cats. And either that or keep it small, keep it low, and keep it real, and that'll get you through. Like, I don't know, I couldn't see who I'm not on the other app, so I couldn't see who was talking before Dr. Felicia, but that was spot on.
You're talking.
You know,
you're
so
talking about
we have
Mathieu St Germain. Stephen.
Mathieu
Yeah,
St
the
Germain.
Count.
Thank you, brother. Those
Yes.
were
The
those
infamous
were,
Count
those were
of St.
some
Germain.
well-founded words of wisdom. And if you're not listening to him, you're not listening to the right people, because it is all about quality, not about quantity. You can grow the most weed in the world, but you're never going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
If you stay small, stay dedicated to what you've been dedicated to, well, what I've been dedicated to for 22 plus years, then you're going to make it, because you know how to make it on a shoestring. If you're going to try to be a fat cat, you're not going to freaking make it without a 5-year burn rate, period. And you better have that cash in the bank. Thank you.
You know, Stephen, if you have a bonfire, you could get rid of all that boof weed.
I'll invite you to that bonfire, Jason.
I like what Weed for
Warriors. The
Warriors
first time
has to say
secondhand
on
smoke ever really exists.
I think tax credits from Weed for Warriors. I think they have a good idea there. I mean, I think a lot of what's holding back this industry, we all know, is the tax rate, and that is, once you actually could get these businesses up and running, that's what's killing them. We really need to look at things from that
I think the drug war has been a continuation of the plantation system, and my eyes were opened even more than I thought previously this weekend at the Emerald Cup. I saw Monica, I don't remember her last name, and Reggie from Oakland Hi-Fi, and they were talking about this, and they really brought a lot of awareness to something that we all need to start talking about, which is cannabis and psychedelic exceptionalism. We shouldn't only be lobbying to decriminalize and legalize psychedelics and cannabis, the good, safe drugs. We should be lobbying to decriminalize, legalize the hard drugs and the drugs that are viewed as dangerous, because those are the drugs that are actually impacting Native American, Black, and other communities of color. And those are the drugs that are continuing the plantation system on America. The slave master's, slave boss is now a CDC or other correctional guard, but the system remains the same. And slaves are making jackets for Eddie Bauer and making license plates for the state, et cetera, et cetera. It's straight up slave labor. And so we really need to open up this talk. If we really want to talk about equity, we need to open up this talk, like Rico said, about reparations or some system of advancement of people of color who it can be demonstrated using government documents have been the subject of government coercive control and institutionalized white supremacy. And we need to really start talking about decriminalizing all drugs so we can begin treating people, because a society is only as good as its least among it. And the least among us right now are the mentally insane, drug addicted, who are vomiting and defecating on themselves in the streets and living in tents and subject to sexual abuse and oppression and repression. And count. You know, I love. I just want to say, when I go to the cities, I'm disappointed in America. And why don't we start having a real talk about how to help people?
Yes.
Sorry. And thank you.
Boom, that part.
Drop that.
And regarding taxes, the big boys and girl are not even paying their taxes. It's like we putting the little people out of business paying taxes, but the big boys and girls have not even paid their taxes, as we covered earlier on the show.
Yes, it's a
very,
vicious
very
cycle
true.
that we can't. It's a vicious capitalism cycle that we just can't get off of. But up next, we got the longest continuously operating retailer in the game, always smoking on the best weed in the world every damn day. Known to the Mar-a-Lago staff as Gucci Blanco, hustlers in Detroit, White Gucci, and anyone in West Hollywood considering cannabis tourism know him as El Presidente. And now he's back from up north, where he might have smoked the best weed in the world, but I don't know. We haven't had a review yet. Coming to the stage next, you know who it is. It's Jason Beck.
Oh yes, good morning, Rico. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. It's a lot warmer than when I was up north, because it was cold AF up there. Me and the Count, we were shivering our timbers while we were up there in the wintertime, getting rained on and all kinds of stuff. But nonetheless, we survived and we're here today. But today, my story comes out of New York, out of the East Coast, where they say your marijuana is coming because delivery is okayed from licensed New York businesses. By bike, by vehicle, or by scooter, New Yorkers will soon be able to order cannabis products to their doorsteps under a new delivery model just outlined by the Office of Cannabis Management. The state's first retail dispensary licenses interested in making sales by delivery can now receive approval from the agency to transport New York cannabis products to customers, according to a recent announcement. All license holders will be able to make marijuana deliveries under the model the agency outlines as providing more options to licenses as they build new adult use cannabis businesses and compete in the new world market. Delivery will be made by vehicles, bicycles, scooters, and other similar methods of transportation, and guidance allows for retail licensees to operate out of a warehouse to fully fulfill delivery orders for up to 1 year while building permanent dispensary locations. Customers must place orders online or via phone call and are not able to pick up the cannabis products in person or from the warehouse locations. Additionally, cash payments will be prohibited from all cannabis consumers to delivery employees. Instead, customers must make online prepayments. Oh, man, that just sounds like a nightmare right there. The temporary delivery authorization requires adherence to all public health and safety regulations, and as required under state law, there will be a maximum of 25 delivery staff per business to transport products to consumers 21 and older with ID verification upon the sale and delivery. I'm sorry, I lost my place. I had a little something pop up. The delivery announcement, designed to allow businesses to jumpstart sales, comes just weeks after the Office of Cannabis Management asked a federal judge to alter a temporary injunction that has prevented the state from issuing marijuana retail licenses in 5 of its 14 regions, arguing that it should not only apply to the Finger Lakes area. Qualifying provisional licenses are still able to submit approval for proposed retail store locations and may qualify for financial support for renovations from the Social Equity Cannabis Investment Fund under the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. Locations will be matched with licensees as they become available, according to Friday's announcement. And so now I have so many questions in regards to this. How New York is going to start allowing for delivery. They're just going to allow places to be proposed temporary, basically distro hubs for these delivery services, and they're going to allow for them to have 25 employees. And while I was at the Emerald Cup, I actually met a young lady who actually received one of these licenses that was just recently given out in New York. And she was just telling me, you're never going to believe this, Rico and Gretchen and Matthew. You're going to love this. But the farmers that were all the hemp processors that grew all the weed that they're supposed to be able to sell, well, apparently, because they are controlling the product that can go into those retail stores, and it's all bad and degraded and whatnot, they're still asking for extremely high top dollar values on the wholesale level in order to get it to their retails. So basically, by the time that the consumer gets it, they're going to pay an exorbitant fee because the growers think that their stuff is amazing and they should be provided this high, excessive price. And then the quality is going to be so low and the taxes are going to be so high that people are just going to flood the streets of New York. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all have to say?
Man,
well, I checked in this weekend and
to food trucks.
Yeah, I did not mention food trucks.
Yeah, I don't know why this little nugget is a shock to you, Jason, that they're going to charge exorbitant prices. I thought you lived in the real world, but all right.
I do live in the real world. My thought is that the weed is probably worth nothing more than maybe $100 a pound, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be trying to get close to $4,000 a pound, from what I've been hearing.
I understand that. I say good for New York. You can get everything and its cousin delivered in New York. I don't see why you think this is going to be such a hard thing for them to do.
It's going to be hard because the illicit market is so robust in New York, and there's much higher quality products that you can find in any bodega or in any corner or any streetcar table out in Manhattan.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. No reason for anyone to shop at any of these stores when they're going to be buying a years old weed.
Yeah, dude,
there's overtaxed.
Now there's Lifetime tables set up in Washington Square Park with baller ass weed. There's people set up in front of the Cookies clothing store in downtown Manhattan, slanging sacks, and they got the die-cut Mylars. And there's just it's already over for New York. I applaud New York in a lot of their consumption regulations. I think they're doing a better job than California, Vegas, and these other places I've been to. But the way that they kind of stumbled into this with not allowing any sales, making it completely legal. they've kind of just opened it up to the freedom market, and I don't see how they're ever going to put that genie back in the bottle.
I think you guys are overestimating or underestimating how lazy people are. Yes, there may be wonderful weed in Washington Square, Union Square, wherever, but Joe Schmo wants it delivered to his front door. I don't get what you're missing here. I think there's going to be no error, and there's how many millions of people in New York? Not everyone is an amazing cannabis connoisseur who knows what he's getting. Trust me, they're going to buy this shit, and they're going to love it.
I agree with that part, Gretchen. I agree with that part, Gretchen, but I'm going to tell you right now, once let's see someone out in the Hamptons goes and orders some weed, okay? And they get some, and they order it from a licensed producer, they're going to get this dry boof that's going to be so harsh on their throat that they may even possibly get sick and a sore throat after they smoke it.
I think Jason, I think you need to take a field trip to New York. You need to fire up the jet, go plant yourself in a hotel, and order up some of this booth and do
drop
a real
down in Long Island.
I'm down. I'm down. I'm all about the wheels up model. I'm all about the wheels up. But I mean, I have tons of friends out there on a regular basis. I was actually with some friends from New York over the weekend during the Emerald Cup, and I just don't see how the market is going to survive out there when the supply chain is so broken before it's even started.
Gretchen, you do have a point. You do have a point there with a lot of people still will be buying the overpriced shit. I always cringe when I see any of my friends touch down, and my sister, I had to slap the fucking bag out of her hand when she was here a few weeks ago, and she had some fucking MedMen.
Yeah, she
are
did.
Already willing to pay ridiculous prices. That's what they have been paying. The ones who care about getting legal weed, people will pay.
The New York connoisseur market is really well educated, and they're not going to pay for bad weed. They pay high dollar prices for weed that they can impress their friends with, and you can't impress your friends with BS
I'm
weed.
not talking connoisseurs. I'm talking Bud Light drinkers.
Connoisseurs.
Yes, yeah, I'm with you. But my point being, though, Gretchen, is that they may get one or two sales, but eventually those same customers are going to venture down to Times Square one of these days, and they're going to buy some weed off a store, and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, this weed is so much better, and it's so much cheaper," and they deliver. They're just going to have them deliver.
God, Becky, where did you get that? This is so dank.
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly what's going to happen right there, Rico. Exactly right. It is so dank.
And then once you go trap, you never go back, Gretchen.
I believe you.
I mean, Gretchen shops in the trap. She knows what's up.
I do. However,
see?
That's all we got in DC. The point is that I think you're going to have plenty of sweet little tourists who want to try it for the first time, and I think they're going to be a little nervous about just buying it off some guy on the street corner. And they're going to feel that the delivery thing is going to be safer for them. I really do.
I mean, even the tourists in Amsterdam are going to know to go shop at the card table instead of going to shop at the dispensary.
All those privileged people that have the cash to throw away on that, where do they go to get their street drugs, Gretchen? Do they not go to some shady ass dude to get their street drugs that they quote unquote trust?
I would not know because I've never been a privileged person. I would talk to Jason Beck there on the privileged side.
I'm sure the same guy who's supplying their
I know nothing.
The same guy who's supplying their coke has a beat in on that sweet dankness that they about to give it.
I do agree with you that brand. I do agree that the New York regulators and officials, they really need to crack down on the illicit market if they want real hope of this market going anywhere. I do agree.
But how are they going to be able to do that when that's been their whole thing of the social justice is no one should be in jail for a plant?
Broken windows policies, man. I'll say that a million times. Like while Eric Adams opened up, this Amsterdam style, Amsterdam style environment on the left hand, he opened up broken windows policies once again. And I guarantee you, as soon as he flips that switch, it's going to be stop and frisk once again. And it's going to be the war on drugs, just like Anna said. It's the war on drugs 2.0. Yep. It's going to come with the quickness.
I think we need to work on I think we need to deal with the illicit tomato market. I know a lot of people who are growing tomatoes without any permits or certification in my local county, and they're selling and trading them. There's a huge black market in every type of fruit and nut that is available, including Gravenstein apples. And why does no
Would you
one
say
do
that every fruit and nut is involved in the black market?
Oh my God. It's a protected class. Count. I know times are different than 200 years ago when you first started riding around with the merry men.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
That fully was got.
Problematic.
That was good. That was good. Adam, run the commercial. We're gonna go pay a bill real quick, and we're gonna be right back at ya.
At True Classic OG, we live by one motto: stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of true OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious. We represent the spirit and hustle and diversity of our great city of Angels, and we stay true to the spirit of this plant, doing everything in-house to ensure that you get the highest quality and consistency with every batch. And that's what made us LA's favorite OG. True Classic OG. Stay true, Los Angeles.
You got this, Rico? You got the disclaimer.
Yes, sir. The thoughts and opinions and shade thrown on High Nine News are those of individual speakers and not those of any other speaker or his followers. The statements made do not constitute the legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in any country, area, territory, or any of its authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary responsibility or relationship. Our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of any speaker on stage. If you are an easily offended person, maybe quit butt puckering, try smoking the bowl and raw dogging something. It's the Dale Schaefer method of self-elevation.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Hold on, I gotta do it again. I gotta do it again. Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX, located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order.
Come on stage next. He's an immortal cannabis wizard with Transylvanian roots, chronicled globally by royal scribes throughout history for doing his damnedest to continue the work of the original merry pranksters and the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. You know who it is. It's the co-host of What's Good, a dude who dedicated the last 33 years of his life to cannabis sales, genetics, and cultivation. And he's earned that Hogwarts PhD in tripping balls. And you know what? He is anti-fruit and nut.
No, sir. No, sir.
Mathieu St Germain, what you got for us on this beautiful Monday morning?
Good morning, Rico. Yeah, forgive me if I'm on fire today. I had a great weekend at the Emerald Cup. I learned a lot. I did a lot. I saw a lot. I thought a lot. My story comes out of Oregon, and a lot of us saw this video that was circulating this year of these never-ending stretches of greenhouses taken by drone, just like 500 greenhouses. I think it was in Apple Valley there, southwestern Oregon. So it has something to do with that. Awash in illegal cannabis, Oregon looks at toughening laws. This is something we all said was going to come with these taxation and legalization measures was this type of enforcement. In 2014, Oregon voters approved a ballot measure legalizing recreational cannabis after being told it would eliminate problems caused by uncontrolled manufacture of the drug. Illegal production of marijuana has instead exploded. Oregon lawmakers who have heard complaints from police, legal growers, and others are now looking at toughening laws against the outlaw growers. Oregon, one of the first states to legalize recreational cannabis, can be an object lesson for other states, including Maryland and Missouri, where voters legalized the drug on November 8th. That raised the number of states that have approved marijuana's recreational use to 21. So far this year, police have seized over 105 tons of illegally grown cannabis in Oregon, according to the Oregon-Idaho High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force. That's a mouthful. That's up 9 tons from 2019. Good job, Oregon. The indoor and outdoor grows use massive amounts of water in drought-stricken areas. That's true. Contaminate the environment and employ migrant laborers who live in squalid conditions. A draft bill for Oregon's 2023 legislative session that begins January 17th would double the maximum prison sentence and fine to 10 years in prison and $250,000 for unlawful manufacture involving more than 100 plants and possession in excess of 32 times the legal limit, which means 57 grams. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, 2 ounces. So I'm sorry. You can have 8 ounces in your house. So do the math real quick while I'm reading. The measure also holds people accountable for environmental damage and prohibits use of water at locations not licensed for growing cannabis. That's great. Addressing immigrant labor, the draft bill makes it a crime for managers of an illegal grow site to confiscate a passport or immigration document, to threaten to report a person to a government agency for arrest or deportation, or withhold wages without lawful justification. Some parts of Oregon have seen record seizures as police raid plantation after plantation. Police say foreign criminal gangs have become involved from Mexico, Russia, China, maybe Bulgaria, and other countries. A single raid in October yielded 76,930 pounds of marijuana in Yamhill County, southwest of Portland. This was the largest bust on record in a county renowned for more for its Pinot Noir wine. Investigators found the entire property had been converted to facilitate the growth, storage, processing, and packaging of marijuana to be shipped or transported out of the area, the sheriff's office said. The street retail value of the marijuana in Oregon would be $76 million, while on the East Coast it would be worth $269 million. So there's your business model. Receipts of the property in rural Newberg, Oregon showed wire transfers involving large amounts of money going from Oregon to the state of Michoacan in Mexico. On October 25th, Oregon State Police, including SWAT officers, raided a property in southern Oregon's Jackson County that had pot growing in greenhouses. The officers destroyed about 1,000 pounds of illegal processed cannabis and found the carcass of a black bear, along with firearms and 3 stolen vehicles. The amount of illegal marijuana that law enforcement officers managed to intercept each year in Oregon is believed to be dwarfed by the uncounted tons that are smuggled out of state and sold for high profit. Anthony Johnson, who was the chief petitioner for ballot measure 91, acknowledged that legalization and the creation of a regulated industry from farm to customer has not yet stemmed the illegal growth. With recreational cannabis still being illegal federally, as well as in many other states, Johnson said the problem won't go away because of the high profit margin from selling on the black market in those states. He said that that authorities should act against illegal growers in Oregon. Certainly when unregulated growers are stealing water or using chemicals that shouldn't be polluting our land, and it's expected that the state and or federal government is going to move in to enforce state law. I think that this is a great article that really begs a deeper discussion about a lot of facets of this article. I'm interested in what you guys have to do.
Oh yeah, Matthew. I mean, there's a
trail
whole
off
lot
of
of
me,
booth
or
weed
was
in
that
Oregon.
everybody else? It like trailed off at the end there.
Yeah, I didn't hear the end.
Yeah. Can you reread the last couple sentences, Matthew?
Yes, please. You're muted.
And unmute yourself.
You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I think we're.
That's why I hit my mouse
Yes.
with my hand. I'm sorry, you guys.
Yes.
So Anthony Johnson was the chief petitioner, and he said, just the thing that we know with cannabis being illegal federally and in other states, that price discrepancy continues to fuel organized crime and disorganized crime both to continue to make money, and that it'll remain a problem until the federal government legalizes or decriminalizes across the nation. This man, Anthony Johnson, said that they should act against illegal growers in Oregon, specifically the ones that are stealing water or using systemic pesticides and other chemicals that should not be used on the land. And I just said that this is a multifaceted problem that we have here, and I'm really excited and interested to hear what you guys have to add to this.
I mean, Oregon is just known for a whole bunch of booth. Just first of all, okay. All right, so how they're evaluating this at such a high number, I'm a little confused about. Can you have anything to add into that? Why they're valuing it at such a high value, Matthew?
Well, the police always up the value because it makes them look better in the story when they get give each other the little medals. That's why they weigh plants as wet weight and represent that as the full weight.
The DEA quantifies cannabis as far as a dollar figure at $25 per gram.
Wow.
Okay, so when you weigh a wet plant, that's all $25 a gram as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, exactly. And so you inflate the numbers, and it looks like you're taking on a drug cartel when often you haven't. But
yes,
to the credit of this writer and to what's going on, there are cartels of varying degrees of organization involved in the weed game because of the profit motive. And again, the more we move towards decriminalization and an equitable model where everyone can grow weed, and we take the profit motive out of it, then the organized drug cartels are winnowed down to only the first one, which we call the government.
Do you really think you're ever going to take the profit out of weed?
I think that if everybody can grow weed, the ridiculous levels of profit are going to shrink, and folks will be focusing on other things. And we've already seen that with the cartels in Mexico. They've been focusing more and more on fentanyl importation because it's easier and because it's really hard for them to sell brickweed. And that's the other reason the cartels have been moving up, and they've actually been growing weed in California and Oregon, and not just shipping it nationwide, but shipping it back through into Central and South America.
Well, I mean, they may find some buyers for all that Oregon boof out in Central and South America.
Well, isn't cartels getting involved more also as a front? I mean, think about growing weed and making money off the weed. It's a way to launder money.
Well, they're doing both. Yes, ma'am. They're doing both. You know, the thing I really like about this article is the statute where you cannot harass your foreign workers. You can't threaten them with Homeland Security, deportation, withhold wages, or that part. I really appreciate that, because I've even heard of that kind of stuff happening with trimmers who come to Mendo and stuff, and getting into these kind of disputes where farmers can't pay them and then threaten to call the Homeland Security, et cetera, on them. But it's also funny when they dial into these things and they don't talk about, they talk about illicit grows wasting water, and then you'll drive by a Pinot Noir vineyard in late fall, and they'll be in the daytime, they'll be aerial spraying everything with water, like aerial sprinkler spraying, like and no one talks about that, or the fact that all of our farm workers make well below a living wage, but because that's a legal industry and you can't get high and have fun from it, no one really discusses the fact that same model is in existence and we all take advantage of it every day. And so that's, I think, some of the conversations that or food for thought in this article from my point of view.
You got anything on this, Rico? I mean, it's Oregon weed, bro. It's already bad.
I can't say that, man. Like one of my best friends is a trapper.
In Oregon,
there's some real good weed. There's some real good weed in Portland.
Yeah, he's in somewhere in Oregon, and I've always had great shit from him. So I've never had legal weed in Oregon, so I can't really speak to one market or the other in Oregon.
All right. Well, coming up next, she's a political strategist by day and a baker by night. A true female multitasker who can not only bake up a storm, but also knows how to make the sausage on Capitol Hill. She's the founder of Panoptic Strategies and our very own Washington Insider. Taking off the apron and coming up next is none other than the Gretchen Gailey.
Good afternoon. My headline is coming from everyone's favorite publication, Marijuana Moment. And that headline is, will congressional leaders include marijuana banking in the omnibus spending bill expected on Monday? Congress is set to take up a large-scale spending bill to provide funding for the government in the 2023 fiscal year. And it will be the second major test within the span of a week to see if marijuana banking and other cannabis reforms are pursued through a must-pass vehicle during the lame duck session. Advocates are eagerly awaiting action on a so-called Safe Plus package that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has been finalizing, and that's expected to focus on marijuana banking and expungements after cannabis reform was excluded from the NDAA. That was released this past week. The House sponsor of the Safety Act said he was eyeing appropriations as a possible alternative vehicle. So far, there are no public commitments that it will happen, but it will be known relatively soon. Democratic leaders said they had expected to file the text of the omnibus on Monday, but that has now been pushed back in light of ongoing talks with Republicans. Beyond SAFE or SAFE Plus, there are a multitude of cannabis provisions that were previously included in House and Senate appropriations bill this cycle, so advocates will also be waiting to see if any of these are adopted and part of the final deal. Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Patrick Leahy said on the floor on Thursday that Democrats eliminated the so-called poison pill riders that Republicans have objected to in the omnibus spending package. Now, that's not necessarily a sign that there's been an agreement to omit Safe Plus from the funding package, but the statement also came after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell talked about tanking the reform as part of NDAA and said lawmakers should also apply that lesson to appropriation process. On Friday, Safe Banking sponsor Senator Jeff Merkley said that he will keep fighting to get that reform passed this year, adding that this is not the end of the road. We need to make sure that legal cannabis businesses have access to the financial services they need. Operating in cash is an open door to robbery and money laundering. That's also a point that's been highlighted in a recent analysis that looked at the trends and motivations for crimes targeting cannabis businesses in Washington state. One senator who could make or break the final safe deal in appropriations is Senator Pat Toomey, who was among a small group of senators who met with Justice Department this week to seek assurances that issues it raised over safe banking in a memo earlier this year have been effectively resolved. 8 Republican Pennsylvania state senators applied pressure on Toomey to advance banking reform, sending a letter on Friday saying that stalled passage of SAFE has led to unacceptable real-world consequences. That includes employees of businesses unable to access banking services, state-licensed cannabis retailers having to do business in all cash, and cannabis businesses being targeted for violent robbery. On behalf of all Pennsylvanians impacted by the Commonwealth's medical cannabis program, we ask that you please support the Safe Banking Act. The senators wrote to Toomey, who is the ranking member on the Senate Banking Committee. Meanwhile, Senator Patty Murray, who will serve as Senate President pro temp for the 118th Congress, is also pushing for passage of the cannabis banking reform during the lame duck, which she discussed as a leadership briefing with Schumer this week. Murray said that Democrats have made significant progress on a number of issues, even with the slimmest possible majority in the Senate. She said that we are not done yet, and there are areas of bipartisan consensus that can still advance before the end of the session, which includes making sure our legal cannabis businesses can access credit. Whether SAFE or SAFE Plus makes it to the forthcoming appropriations deal is yet to be seen, but it's far from the only cannabis reform that advocates are hoping to see included in the final package delivered to the president's desk. I do agree with these folks. There's still hope for SAFE. I am going to have a little Christmas spirit and say that there is hope for SAFE still out there, even though I think Chuck Schumer is full of it with how much he keeps saying he's pushing it, because that is not what I'm hearing. But truly, if SAFE were to go as a standalone piece of legislation, I will say it again and again, maybe Chuck will tune in one time and actually hear me, the votes are there. They have 65 votes to pass SAFE. It could get done if they wanted to do it. They do not need to attach it to the spending bill. But if they're going to, we've yet to see it, and we have yet to see any other Hail Marys on SAFE, but it's still a possibility. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
Question for you, Gretchen. You said that they're talking about adding this to the omnibus spending bill. Would that be added as a budget rider so that they would have to approve it every year afterwards, or would it be a one-time vote and now it's there?
No, the appropriations is done every year.
I understand that. So they would re-vote on it every year, just like they've done with Rohrabacher-Farr, which is now Blumenauer-McClintock.
Sure.
So they're going to have to approve it. So we could have safe banking one year and not have it the next year, possibly.
Possibly. So let's do it as a freaking standalone. I don't understand why we keep attaching it just to get it possibly through. But it's also the first sacrificial lamb to go whenever someone has a problem with the legislation. So let's have people put their mouths where their money is, and let's see if they will actually vote on it as a standalone bill. This is bullshit. We keep attaching it to things.
Gretchen, do you think this is a serious question? I mean, do you think the conservatives will rally around Safe Banking Plus the way it is right now, despite Mitch McConnell pushing back against it?
I have been told by Republicans who are not sponsors of SAFE that if it made it to the floor and it came down between them and Mitch, they'd vote for it. They believe in it because they're hearing the same things from their state lawmakers. People want something done, and they're not scared to vote for it if it comes down to it. No, there are the votes in the Senate to do it.
I like the sound of that, and come on through, Republicans, come on through, push that thing on through.
But Democrats have no idea what they're doing when it comes to pushing through policy, and Chuck has screwed this up to the nth degree that time is quickly running out.
Agreed.
Do you see anybody challenging Schumer for that leadership role? Is there anyone else that could be the majority leader besides him?
No. He's it.
No.
Sadly, he's it.
He is it.
He is him.
Because he's the biggest fundraiser. Got those big
New York, man. He got them New York tentacles.
Yeah.
He's killing us. But one thing that people should be watching out for coming up, there's been a lot of stuff looking at tribal lands that might be put into the omnibus. There's always the DC rider they're trying to get thrown in there. There's a number
That's
of
not
other
going to go
provisions.
nowhere.
You never know.
That's not
But
going nowhere.
What they may
It's like
try and
DC
do.
statehood ain't going nowhere.
I agree that statehood's going nowhere, but I'm hopeful the rider can go somewhere. We'll see.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. There are ways for things to happen.
Call that shit the Ghost Rider.
Exactly.
Johnny Blaze.
Oh man, we have El Guapotron with us from Clubhouse. El Guapo, did you have something to say on this topic today?
You got your mic ready this time.
Nope, he's having the same problem as last time. Still no unmuted mic. Oh, Guapo. We need a womp 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 womp. But yeah, no, safe banking needs to get passed. We do need something done. I don't think that that putting it in the appropriations budget is necessarily the right way to go. I do agree with you, Gretchen, that we definitely should have a standalone floor vote on this issue. And I would encourage Chuck Schumer to put his money where his mouth is. And if you do support SAFE as much as you proclaim to, let it have a standalone vote in the Senate, because we know that if it doesn't receive a full vote in the Senate, it's because you, as the leader of the Senate, did not allow it to have that, Senator.
Hey, Jason, will you ever call it Safe Banking Plus?
If when the bill is introduced, if it's called Safe Banking Plus, like that's like the wording on it, then yes, I would call it that. But just because the media or some hype woke agenda says to call it Safe Plus.
Okay, so it's okay to push forward a hype woke bill as long as it's not labeled as a hype woke bill. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm saying I want, if it's going to be called that, like if that's the text of the bill, okay, when it goes to the floor in Congress, if it's called Safe Banking Plus, and I imagine that plus would be an acronym for something, because it wouldn't just be called Safe Banking Plus. Okay.
What would the acronym be?
It's not an acronym.
See what I'm... Is it actually called Safe Banking Plus? Is it called Safe Banking Plus or just Safe Banking?
Yes, that's what they're referring to it as. I mean, they're looking at Safe Banking Plus being the HOPE Act being added onto it.
Leave it to Jason.
If they're going to do more, because there's been more discussions about if there's more than HOPE, there's also a good possibility that would not pass. People are on board with Safe in the HOPE, but that's about it.
Well, how about this? How about we come together, meet in the middle, and we let the Republicans name the laws, and everybody else can put the input on what goes in from now on. Here on out, I think Jason Beck.
Brilliant strategy, Rico.
Fucking catalyst.
I mean, come on now, Rico. I mean, what would Plus really stand for? Can you think of an acronym that Plus would stand for in regards with safe banking? There's like a crossword puzzle.
It's not an acronym. I don't know how many times I got to say this. It's not. Deal with it.
So, but it's not called Plus on the paperwork.
Dude, Safe Plus doesn't exist yet.
Exactly.
All right,
we're
let's close this thing on that. We gotta land this plane.
Oh yeah!
Thank you all for out there for tuning in with us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. You can always watch us weekdays 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our live audience members and online supporters tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted industry correspondent team tuning in from all over the global community, bringing us much needed variety with perspective and adding your respected opinions to conversation. And Jaja Simone over there holding things down every damn day for us in Clubhouse. And to the haters, we see, hear, and love you dearly. Deeply even. There's nothing more energizing than waking up early Monday morning, writing my story, and delivering it to you all. And y'all make the sacrifice to watch us live just to talk shit. But here's what you don't know. I put a few drops of my special sauce in this tea that y'all see me sipping each day. and trolls produce more adrenochrome than any other organisms in Earth's global ecosystem. Thank you. Finally, Cannabis Sativa L. Thank you for blessing us with your presence, continuing to heal, uplift, and excite us every single day, giving the High at 9 News team a purpose to show up every Monday through Friday. It's Monday, December 12th, 2022. The show's over, and you've all been blessed with today's top industry headlines. We hope it's enough to put in your pipe and smoke it at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street, signing off. And please remember, when life gives you no place else to turn, you can always turn the fuck up.
I think we have El Guapo with a song. El Guapo, do you have a song to sing us? A Christmas ring. Are you there, Guapo? I'm not hearing any jingle bells or anything. I'm hearing none but static. Oh, we got it. It's a whammy. All right, run it. Let's run it. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.